Hi, I'm Robert Osborne, and welcome to another edition of our monthly guest programmer series, where we invite a distinguished guest to come and select a few films from our TCM library that they particularly like, and join me then to tell us why they picked it. And this month, we've invited the man known as today's master of horror to pick our lineup of films. He's a filmmaker responsible for some of the best and best-liked horror and sci-fi thrillers, including Halloween and The Fog. He's John Carpenter, and welcome, John. Thanks so much for being here.
I'm delighted to be here with you.
Good, thanks. Well, John's first selection is the 1951 classic, The Thing from Another World, which is indeed an interesting choice, I think, since John made his own version of this film in 1982. Why did you pick this film?
I love this movie because of the fact that when I first saw it, I was a kid. I didn't see it in its first release. I saw it in its re-release because I was too young. It scared me.
It is.
It really scared me. And then I saw it later in film school. I began to appreciate some of the Hawksian element that I could see in it. The overlapping dialogue, the characters dealing with each other, the exchange of cigarettes and props. And I realized the kind of influence that Howard Hawks had over The Thing. In addition to just being a science fiction film, it is another expression of his kind of group adventure idea that he's done in so many films.
Now, it's always credited that Howard Hawks produced the film and Christopher Nyby directed it. But everybody else has said, no, Hawks maybe directed the film. What is your investigation into that? When
I saw the movie in film school, I saw the Hawks influence, so I did a little bit of research. Some of the actors claim that Hawks was directing them, was rehearsing them for the sequences. It certainly appears that way. But I do know that Christian Nyby was Hawks' editor on Red River, and he owed him a favor because Nyby recut Red River while Hawks was gone. So The Thing was his reward.
Well, and isn't it kind of true that back in the time, 1951, when The Thing was made, that it wasn't too respectable for somebody of like Howard Hawks' stature to be making a horror film?
It's true. You know, The Thing was a very early pioneer of this kind of flying saucer monster from Mars movie. It took hold in the 50s. It became a big baby boomer favorite. But back then, of course, it was a little déclassé to do that. You know, Hawks was famous for Red River and comedies and really classic films. But he did exert his influence over the movie, and you can see it when you watch the film.
So let's see the film. You've set it up very well. Here it is from 1951, produced by Howard Hawks, direction credited to Christian Nyby, chosen by our guest programmer, director John Carpenter. Here's The Thing from Another World. Terrific film. And I'm back with the man who chose it for us, this month's guest programmer, writer, and composer John Carpenter. That is incredible. I never get over that scene where the door opens and the thing comes out. That is such a great shocker. And
in goes the gasoline.
Yeah.
He goes up in flames. It's amazing.
Now, you remade this in 1982.
I did.
Now, first off, where'd you get the nerve to do that? And then why did you do that?
Well, this was an assignment. This was my first studio feature.
Okay.
It was offered to me.
Right.
And I thought, I can't turn this down. But I was not anxious to remake this movie because of my love for it. And I realized, I don't know how I can make this better, really. I can modernize it, but how do I make this better? So my idea was to make it as true to our time in the 80s as Hawks was to his time in the 50s.
What was the biggest challenge for you in that?
The Thing had a lot of challenges. The locations, the design of the creature, just braving the elements and shooting on location was really grueling. But it turned out, I was delighted with it.
Well, we talked earlier, and you had said that of all your films, it's kind of your favorite that you've done.
It is. It was not received well. It was hated by the critics. It was not a big hit. But over the years, it's gained a little cachet.
Right.
And I still maintain it's as far as I go as a director, it's one of my better films.
Yeah. And Howard Hawks is a particular favorite of yours as a director. Why?
Howard Hawks is my favorite director for a number of different reasons. And this came during my time at film school. And I began to study him. And I began to study the way he makes movies, his narrative style. his invisible camera work, essentially, for the most part, not calling attention to itself like a lot of other directors, but his dealings with characters and their interactions, the way they exchanged props with each other, the man and woman relationship, the split between his adventure films and his comedy. I thought, this is a man, a master in charge of his cinematic vision. And he worked within the Hollywood system, which I admired enormously. So he wasn't somebody that struck out on his own as an independent. He worked with big movie stars, with John Wayne and Cary Grant, and I just love his films.
He could do anything.
Unbelievable.
You know. Well, let's move on. Don't go away. John and I are going to be back to talk about the next film he's chosen as our guest programmer. It's a sci-fi film less known than The Thing, and it has Marshall Thompson on a mission to Mars.